Heyo, welcome back again. Today we're going to be exploring an old skill that we're going to turn into a new skill by adding some new features, some new dimensions to it, and some new shapes. So today we're going to be talking about volume. We're going to start with a fairly simple shape called a rectangular prism. You guys might be familiar with this shape from earlier grades. And then from there we'll move on to some more complicated ones. But today all we're going to be doing is working on one formula for rectangular prism. So let's start with talking about what is volume. Volume is pretty much a measure of how much space something takes up. So sometimes it's confused with capacity, which is how much space fits inside of something, but in this case, volume is specifically for three-dimensional figures, and it's used to measure how much space they take up. So we're not talking about the surface area, we're talking about the volume of three-dimensional figures. The first three-dimensional figure we'll be discussing is called the rectangular prism. Here's a picture of one right here. Okay, rectangular prisms have 6 faces, a front, a back, 2 sides, a top, and a bottom, but they only have 3 dimensions. The 3 dimensions are length, width, and height. So taking a look at the one we have here, we have 10 centimeters, 5 centimeters, and 3 centimeters. We're then going to use this formula, length times width times height, in order to find the volume of the shape itself. So the first thing you're going to do after you write the formula is you're going to substitute the 3 numbers in. In this case, I substituted the 10 where length was, the 3 where width was, and the 5 where height was. And then it's just a matter of multiplying 10 times 3 times 5. In whichever order you do it, wink wink, is going to give you 150 cubic centimeters. Now, what if I took the exact same figure and I just changed its orientation and faced it this way? Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't look like 10 is the length anymore. Now, maybe 10 is the height. Notice we substitute the 3 numbers in that way, and we get the exact same answer. What does this lead you to believe? Well, Marcus Avatar says it does not matter which is the length, the width, or the height. They're interchangeable because of the commutative property. Let's look at another one. Here we have this pink rectangular prism. It's 6 by 4 by 2. Which is the length, the width, and the height? It does not matter. They're interchangeable in this case because we're only multiplying, and that makes it commutative. So I'll put them in this order, and then I just have to multiply them. And 6 times 4 times 2 winds up being 48. And notice how we display the answer, cubic centimeters, a little 3 as the exponent. Now here's one with larger numbers, but same formula. All we're going to do again is start with length times width times height, substitute any of the numbers into each of those places. Doesn't matter which number goes where, just make sure you use all 3. And then we're going to do some quick math, 34 times 100 times 200, get a calculator if you want, 680,000 feet cubed. In this case it's feet because that's the units that are given. So here's a real life connection. Marcus's wife keeps burning food while cooking. He wants to buy an exhaust fan so the house won't fill with smoke. The Google thing says he needs to know the size of the kitchen before purchasing a fan. Bleep. So what is he going to do? Do you have any advice for Marcus? How should he solve his problem? So right now you should be thinking maybe about what the shape of his kitchen is. Because his kitchen is a rectangular prism, he should measure the kitchen. But how? Well, he needs the length, the width, and the height. And although it may seem like it's obvious which would be the height from the floor to the ceiling, it really doesn't matter. It just needs to be 3 dimensions. Across the kitchen, the width of the kitchen, and then the height of the kitchen. Then he's going to multiply those 3 numbers, and guess what? He's going to find out the size of his kitchen based on cubic feet. So he got the right fan. Now if only he could teach his wife to cook without burning all the food. That's a joke, and it's a bad joke because my wife makes at least 2 or 3 things that come out wonderfully. Okay, so make sure that you go on to Google Classroom. You've probably already been there if you're watching this video, but you want to go in there and you want to complete the quiz. Be careful. Remember, all volume measures are cubic, not squared. A little 3 is the exponent, not a 2. Good luck.